Hi, everybody. Joe Cioffi here. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes. And tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, we're going to be talking about the nice dry weather that covers much of the eastern part of the United States for a good chunk, if not all, of this work week. We have melting snows out in the northwest and also some flood watches up. No surprise, considering the kind of winter they've had. They've got a lot of snow to melt. We'll talk all about that and much more tonight on the Joe and Joe Weather Show, which is brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware. So is Weather in 5 at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. They're in full spring mode and a good week for it with sand, topsoil, and mulch. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. OmniTrueValue.com is the website. And also brought to you by Tempest. Get the new revolutionary Tempest weather system. Enjoying the fastest growing observation network on the planet. The link is on the descriptor to this video. Okay, so you see where all the watches and warnings that are up, and there's not a whole lot really. Frost advisories in parts of the mid-Atlantic states, especially inland. The light green that you see, those are advisories for melting snows. We've got some high wind warnings and flood advisories up for parts of the northern Rockies and also into parts of Nevada and California. Some flood watches also for the rest of Nevada. But on the whole, there's really no major storms. And look at the satellite loop this afternoon. It is just beautiful from Maine down to Georgia and across much of the Gulf states, except right along the immediate Gulf Coast, where we are seeing a little bit of moisture collecting there. That's probably the one place this week that's going to have some issues. And the other spot that's going to have issues is the Pacific Northwest, because they do have some big rains that have come in there, and you can see some of the heavier rains that have moved inland, some snow in the mountains. Along the Gulf Coast, some showery rains here and there, but not a whole lot happening. And we've got a little bit of activity as far as showers and thunderstorms are concerned right around and east of Kansas City at the moment. That's as of 3:35 p.m. Eastern Time. Storm Prediction Center has a small area of marginal to slight risk in the southern plains, but no severe weather is indicated for the next several days. Just a couple of small areas of general thunderstorms in the northwest, parts of Texas and Louisiana and southern Florida for tomorrow into Wednesday, and a few areas in the New Mexico, southwestern Colorado, from Nebraska northeast into South Dakota, and along the Gulf Coast and in central and south Florida for Wednesday into Thursday. We don't actually see much in the way of severe weather in the long range. The total precip over the next 7 days, now what you're seeing in the Northeast, basically a quarter to a half an inch, and in some instances even less than that, that's all from next weekend coming up. So there's nothing that's going to happen right through Friday. The Gulf Coast, as we said, busy. Anywhere from 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half, and right along the immediate coast from southeast Louisiana to the western part of the Florida Panhandle, we're talking several to many inches of rain there, and up and down the east coast of Florida, where we're seeing an inch and a half plus in most areas. So it's really all about a ridge in the eastern part of the United States. There's nothing of consequence that's going to happen. It's very dry. It's going to be very dry through at least Thursday. And the one issue, if there is one to look at, is going to be later Tuesday into Wednesday, as there's a weak front that is going to go across New England. Not going to do anything, but it is going to tighten the gradient a bit later Tuesday night into Wednesday. And because of the dry conditions, this possibly could raise the issue of some brush fires. So we want to point that out. The dew points in the east very low. The other thing about this week in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic states is the absence really of any kind of onshore flow at all. And this will allow temperatures to climb. So we're going to see temperatures that are going to reach 70 tomorrow or better in most of eastern Pennsylvania to southern New England. Maybe some sea breezes right along the immediate coast. But even there, the wind looks to pick up from the northwest. And Wednesday will be in the 70s. Thursday and Friday will be in the 80s. I think there's an outside chance that some warm spots on Friday might see temperatures up close to 90 degrees. Wouldn't be out of the question. And as far as rain is concerned, yeah, it's along the Gulf Coast. The models have backed away from the silliness that they had with regards to some kind of subtropical system that was going to develop. Doesn't really show much of anything at all, really. And up in the northwest, where it's colder, especially in the higher elevations, you got some snow. That'll happen later this week as well. And as we said, as far as rain is concerned, the ridge finally gives way, and maybe we'll get into some showers, not so much on Saturday, but possibly on Sunday when a weather front will be coming on through. So don't forget, folks, tonight, the Joe and Joe Weather Show at 7:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We'll talk about what's going on across the country, and we'll take a look at the entire week ahead, and we'll also peek ahead at the long range. So we'll see you tonight at 7:35.